All right, people, we are live on the Pan-African Daily TV. As you can see, our guest of Ambassador Tony Jaja is well seated and prepared and ready to bring you the good news. I know we're going to be getting some kind of interruptions on his side there on the continent, as there's been a lot of interruption, but don't worry, never mind. We are used to, and technology should not be the issue. What we are saying every day is get the message and don't worry about the messenger. Yes, so I see most of you already joining in, even without the jingle. That's a very good signal that you've been waiting for Ambassador Tony Jaja, the multifaceted award winner in terms of peace and development on Eastern Horn of Africa, and as well as global developmental politics that has to do with humanity in Africa. So we are very, very happy to have him here in the studio. And while we're waiting for all of you to connect, please make sure you share as we get into the jingle.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
So wonderful. Greetings again once more to you, dear Pan-Africanists and global Pan-African family at home and abroad. So tonight, like I said yesterday, we are going to listen to His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Tony Jaja, who has been and who is the pioneer and one of the founders of the Pan-African Daily TV. It's been a while that because of a lot of meetings, we've not been able to get in touch with him, but today he has made it a priority to be on the Pan-African Daily TV. What are we going to be talking about today? He's going to be updating newses. I call them newses. Good news across the continent of Africa. We have a lot to listen and to learn from Excellency Ambassador Dr. Tony Jaja. Welcome to Pan-African Daily TV, my king.
Thank you, Dr. Susan Tatah. Thank you. It has been really a while for me to be here.
It's been a while. How are you doing? How's the continent doing?
Yeah, the continent is, as we said today, is big winning. So it's winning big for a lot of things that we have to mention today.
Wonderful. We can see the hard work even in your appearance. You look tired. Have you been traveling?
I've been traveling, been talking. So just taking time, talking, and meetings, and forums, and discussion and dialogues.
And of course, negotiations, isn't it?
Yes. And helping,
wonderful.
supporting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Talking. Let's start about the talking. What have you been talking about all this time, Dr. Tony? What has the continent been talking about? We have seen a lot of treaties, of peace treaties that have been reach out, but no one is talking about it. We don't see these things happening on the global media. And we've seen delegations, African across the global African community. And Africa seems to be the latest and the modern star above Africa's heavens and the global heavens. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, there's as we said it before, that things are happening in Horn of Africa. There's a lot of issues that are outstanding to be solved, and there is some the gleam of light that has come to Ethiopia between the Ethiopia government and the and the Tigray movement. And as we have seen, former President Uhuru Kenyatta has been assigned as a head of the delegation to negotiate the peace between the Ethiopia government and the Tigray. And again, with the peace talk of Congo, DRC. And is progressing very well, progressing. There's a positive things that has happened. The first meeting for Tigray group with the government delegation of Ethiopia, they met in South Africa, and they made progress. And now there's a ceasefire, and there's calm, and we don't want to forget the role of the former president Obasanjo is part of this team with His Excellency Kenyatta, and they have really have done a lot to bring peace, because it is about the elders who can solve the problem. And as we have seen, many peace talk has been taken to Europe and has not been succeed, like the Libya peace dialogue in Geneva, and they formed a government, and the government has not succeeded, has not even have done much, and the country now has collapsed again. So the African Union resolution in 2020 was that all the African issues should be solved by the African people. And the good thing that there is respected African leaders that who can solve problem. We can find them in West Africa, like Obasanjo. We can find them in South Africa, like Ramaphosa. We can find them in East Africa, like Uhuru Kenyatta, to mediate those issues that are harming the region.
In the beginning, you were breaking, so we actually did not hear what you said about when you opened. Could you just repeat? We started hearing you about, 3-4 minutes into the conversation. You talked about the processes that have been going on the continent. Is that correct? The positive winning factors.
Yeah, when I talk about the positive winning, because our main agenda today to discuss is about the African American Summit, and this is what we should focus on, and then to see how Africa is going to win that, and how Africa has won at this time, because yes, the summit has been done after 8 years, since 2014. The first summit was 2014 during Obama time, and the second summit was this year, 2022. And the reason why we said we are winning bigly, it is because the African speech has changed. It is not going to be unusual forcing business on African continent, but the African has said their word. Is expect only few leaders that have been like begging the U.S. U.S. is not, is just a continent. Is a country like other countries in the world. But Africa has to stand. It's not something that to be given to them, a cook food and go and eat. This is the game. The game has changed now. It's about the win-win. And I have heard when President Ruto was talking about a win-win situation. It's not about I am coming to invest and then there's nothing like that. But he said something that very special, and something that people should take it as leaders of Africa in the continent, that when you come and invest, when you come for farming, come and do farming, bring all the equipment, bring all the science of the agro business, and bring all this the experts you have, And then we are not going to import anymore. We are going to export from our side. So I think these are the things that now there's some change of attitude. And what is happening now, the reason why America has called this summit is because of the competition that is happening in Africa between China, between Russia's coming, and then Russia now as planned 2023 in June, they are going to have African Russian summit, the same thing. So I think now African leaders has got it very clear that they should not take a side like they used to do before. The Western world has never given us something good as an African. The Western world always, they do things for them to win. And America was been focusing all this time by sanctioning leaders, economic sanction in Zimbabwe, economic sanction in other countries, in East Africa, and all this economic sanction for leaders who are still sitting on as a president. So they have been focusing, but China has got the opportunity. Now China has built the foundation in 36 countries in Africa. They have business in billions of dollars. The multi-billion business is still there. They have built the railway. They are connecting Africa. They have built all the ports with all the better quality equipments and all these things. So now is like a battles of, we need Africa. Africa become like a bride now. Who is going to buy Africa? Who is going to pay more? Who is going to do what? Russians has revealed that in 2023, this year in June, they are going to call the head of a state. In 2019, they called 48 head of a state attended the summit in Russia. Now they want to call the whole continent, and they are going to invest 170 billion US dollars. America now is going to invest $55 billion. China in the African China summit was $60 billion. Now the French, they want to invest the same thing. The French African summit, they pledge 40-something billion dollars. So it is like now Africa is needed by everybody. Is needed by everybody. So that is why we are winning. People are not sleeping. Leaders are talking. They speak very well. And you have seen now America was behind the African not to have a permanent seat. Now they said, we are going to support you to have a permanent seat in the Security Council. We have been talking about it. South Africa is a member, a just observing member of the G20. Now they said African Union is going to be a permanent member of the G20. So now they are offering to buy Africa. And we have said it very clearly the other time. If 2023, Africa is not going to be given a permanent seat in Security Council, we have to quit from the United Nations. Why should we be there? What benefit do we have there? So we are winning. The leaders who have talking, one of the leaders of West Africa, I don't want to mention his name, he was accusing Russians doing, taking nations from them, like Mali, like Burkina Faso, and but they are losing. They're losing here. So there is no need for us to go and beg. It's like we're begging. We are not begging. We are not here begging. They are the one coming to us. African did not call an African-American summit before. Africa did not call a Russian-African summit before. Africa did not call a French-African summit before. Even the Asians, even they have not called the Chinese-African summit. They are the one calling because they know the potential we have. They know the resources we have in the continent. They need it in this future because the geopolitics is changing. And we have said it many times and several times. We talk about it. And the game has changed now. even the way people are going to run the whole world is going to change. And that is why everybody now is focusing. And we have in this time a very wise leaders who cannot going to let it go without a win-win situation.
Wonderful. I mean, this is very, very, what can I say? It is soothing, and it's very positive, because in the past we never heard and we never looked at it and we never thought about it. But you're saying something really critical. I really must continuously apologize for the constant breaking, but please be patient. If you're patient and you're focused, you're going to get the message. And later on, the studio would kind of like re-edit, take out all this breakage, and you'll get the flow of the message. So please get it from the horse's mouth. XC Ambassador Dr. Tony Jaja is the Peace Ambassador for Eastern Horn of Africa, but of course for the global geopolitical analysis and opinions that are currently going on, be it as a spokesperson or as a negotiator or as a facilitator or as a listener. Excellency Ambassador Jaja goes on all these summits, attends all of them, and get an insight, not what the media would tell you, not even the speeches that you saw on Facebook. We're talking from the insider point of view, a critical analysis, analytical, who is really focused on what is Africa winning. And it's not all the time that we talk about the world wants something from Africa. And like yesterday, I told you, as if our leader just puppets, as if they don't have a brain. Now, if you ask the same question, and I'm going to repeat it again here, what Excellency just said, never, and that was the question we used to ask on the Pan-African Daily, why is it that African leadership has never bothered to invite any foreign investors or other nations, the so-called development big nations, can summit on the continent? Why is it that it's only them colleagues? Anyone who invites you needs something from you. The language narrative has changed, and that's exactly what we are doing on the Pan-African Daily TV, pushing the positive, good story and the narrative of Africa by Africans in the interest of African and from an African perspective. So when you analyze it, what do you think it's going to look like? I mean, like, are they buying? Are they going to be, for instance, sanctions against Zimbabwe? Could that be a condition for African leadership to say, you know what, detailing before we can even go to talk about business?
Yeah, there's some African leaders who have asked the lifting of the Zimbabwe sanction and other countries too. And I think Africa now, they are standing as leaders. They're standing as a bloc where they are defending their own the territories. And you have seen the free trade, intercontinental free trade that bringing African together to trade one another, and that is another dimension that African has reached, and this is going to connect, to have interconnections between the nations of Africa. And America, what they said, they want to use the African American in diaspora so that to come to have a one-to-one business or to have direct business with the African people. So they said these things, the Chinese doesn't have African in China. The Russian doesn't have African Russia, but they have African. Now they are believing those who are living in diaspora in America, in Caribbean, they can be connected back to Africa. And we have talked about it before, that we are calling back our people to come and invest in Africa. But when you see The
This gives
majority of, if we see about the majority of the companies that who have been connecting to others, to African leaders, most of them, they are Jewish companies and American Jewish companies, and they are the one bringing $55 billion to Africa. And now they use the language, the bridge should be the African American in diaspora to be connected back to Africa.
wow. Yes. Wow. This is getting very interesting. To be honest with you, I am very delighted, and I think my audience here as well. It's upon and upon until it sinks right into the DNA of every African watching us today. Yes, and aware as an African, not to be a sellout and not to be. We know a lot of Africans who think it is in the interest of Africa to be a bridge builder. You hear most of these organizations, we are building bridge to the continent of Africa without even being conscious of what type of bridges are you building. In the past, I mean, the audience or critics or people or authors are saying in the past, they didn't need Africans to be a bridge. In the past, they came and they hijacked it and they killed and they maimed and they took and they stole what they could. But today, after bringing the Africans as enslaved and integrated and marginalized or some kind of, I don't know whether it's marginalized or integrate or assimilate them into this culture, today we begin to see that the potential of each of this nation is going to be accordingly to the indigenous Africans that are settled this community. I mean, this sounds really, really like, I don't know, the table turning. And now, so African Americans would have a seat at the table because they would be the ones to be the bridge for their masters to come and negotiate business. How does it sound, My Excellency?
Yeah, because the push came from the Black caucus in the Congress and in the government of America. They are the one who pushed this thing that we should use the bridge. What the Secretary of Defense said, he said now the Russian has put their feet in Africa, the Chinese. So everything is about Chinese and Russia coming in and doing business in Africa. So we don't want the other world to use Africa as a battlefield for them. We don't want that things. If that is going to be a chaos, going to be a problem, because they say they are sending the cheap military equipment. So America, they want to say that we, the West people, the American, we have the very standard weapons and all these things, like what is happening now between Russia and Ukraine and all and all. So we don't want Africa again to be the battlefield for this Western world. The game has changed. That used to be done when people were not educated, when people were not enlightened, when people were not in knowledge of the things. Now, we have the knowledge. The young people know everything. The leaders now, even they fear the young people. These leaders, they cannot do anything from their brain, like what they used to carry the briefcase, going and sign things without even reading or what is the contents of the agreements, the contents of these bilateral agreements and all these things, and putting the continent into the chaos. Now the game has changed.
Now the game has changed, and people are talking, or the whole world is talking about the scramble, the second scramble. I don't even know whether it's the second or the fifth or sixth or 10th scramble for Africa again, as if Africa is a piece of meat. And but this time we are getting the narrative, or we're seeing a dramatic change, as we for the past 2 years have been sounding and awakening and calling on the leadership of Africa to position itself in terms of negotiation and to be able to back every step they make, because they're accountable to the youth of Africa that is already awoke and waiting to be on there. So this is really good news coming out from there. So what are we looking at here now? I mean, I know that the current negotiations are going out there. I mean, this is really crazy. Before, we used to look at the Western world as a united nation. But now, when we look at individuals, the United States of America, China, Russia, France, and all coming, and each one trying to negotiate. So they actually, it's not unity, isn't it?
No, there is no unity. There is this a dispute between them. There is this struggling, and who will catch Africa? Who will control Africa? So now we want to tell them it's not like what they did before, bringing Bible to us and taking the land and then giving us just pray, 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 and then focus on God, focus on heaven. And now they are talking about resources. And African is still talking about going to heaven. We are not going to heaven. The time of heaven is not yet here. We are not going to receive that Bible anymore, the Bible that they cheated us with, so that we hold the Bible in our hands, like what Jambo Kenyatta said. When the white people came, they came with Bible only. And when we found the Bible in our hands, and then they took the land. So we are not going to do that. This mistake is not going to happen. Nobody is going to allow these things. So whatever they are going to bring, whatever option, we have to see to put our policies together. That is a win-win. And I agree with President Ruto. It's a win-win situation. We have to sit on the table. We have to go point by point. We have to agree on the term and the conditions of this investment that you are bringing. Because we have resources of trillions of dollars in the continent. And they are coming with only 55 billion US dollar in 3 years. That the continent can make these trillions of dollars in 1 year.
To be honest with you, $55 billion, when we heard about that, that's ridiculous for a whole mighty United States of America. But do you think that they could do better?
They will try to push through, as I said, through the breach of the diaspora people. And this is what we have been talking about. Let the diaspora people come and help the continent with the knowledge they have, with the education they have, with the experience they have, with this expectation they have, the expertise who are there. They should come back to Africa. This is their land. This is their motherland. This is where they came from. Like now, in a few days ago, there's this the documentary about the origin of the human race in the whole planet is Sudan. This is the country I came from, that I'm talking to you. So anybody that we have to release it. Anybody who is living in this planet came from the country called Sudan, which is the Kush Kingdom. And the export university did all the research. The white people, for the first time, to confess and believe the human race came from a continent of Africa, and especially from Sudan, for the first time in the history. So this continent is very special from God. And we put the glasses that we can see the vision from far. We don't want to see our feet down here. We see from far. And the generation is following us. Whatever we said before is now happening one by one. And the game has changed. The geopolitics has changed. And this struggle that you see China, Russia, France, and all, and because France now has lost the region, has lost many countries in Africa. And it's because of the mismanagement, the misconduct that they have done before in years and years. In 18th century, in 19th century, in 20th century, and now we are in 21st century. This is the advanced time. Everybody is knowledgeable of every details of life.
Wow, the game is changing, the table is changing, whether they like it or not. There's not going to be a war when there's no fairness. And I think 2020 already was that breakdown and that breakthrough for Africans and marginalized economies, economies that have been living under this kind of scrutiny by the world powers. Is never going to be game the same. It's never going to be the same game. And us on the Pan African Daily as well, we're going to also remind our viewers and our watchers and subscribers that Pan African Daily TV is also the game changer in terms of changing the narratives and promoting the narratives of Africa by Africans for the interests of Africans. So we are not going to settle for less, and we are non-apologetically about our opinions, and our lectures and our presenters and our mentors are really schooled and have world-class knowledge both at home and abroad. So get ready. Like I told you yesterday, it's never going to be business as usual. You can already hear it from Ambassador Tony Jaja's mouth, the peace ambassador for Eastern Horn of Africa. Now, even in terms of the Tigray Ethiopian crisis, My Excellency, crisis, we never heard anything again. So Africa is also winning in this aspect of being able to seek for meaningful solutions by themselves without internal influence.
Yeah, the good thing is this, because whenever we take our issues, our problem to discuss outside the house, this is where the complications comes. This is where you will go and find the spoilers of peace, the spoilers, and they have to put their interests before the agreement, before the peace comes. But now this is the African solution now coming, putting themselves, don't sleep the whole night, negotiating, discussing, dialogue until they reach into the agreement. And the good things now, the region is now working very hard to see that peace has to be there. And this is what has been happening even in West Africa. This has happened now even in the Horn of Africa now, in Ethiopia and Tigray, and what is happening in East Africa for Congo, Democratic Congo, and the same delegation, the same head of the negotiation, President Kenyatta and Obasanjo in Tigray and Ethiopia, and President Ruto signing President Kenyatta to negotiate the East Africa peace in Congo, DRC. So now there's progress. There's positive side of it. And now they have sent the peacekeeping forces from Tanzania, from South Sudan, from Uganda, from Kenya, and then from Burundi too. So to keep this peace in Congo Democratic. And now there's positive from those areas that have been captured from the rebel. Now there's ceasefire going on. And because our problems always come from outside, not from inside. And that is why we should bring solution, African solution for African problem. And it's happening now. And I hope it's going to happen to Azania. It's going to happen to Biafra. It's going to happen to Biafra in other countries too. And all these issues that are happening in West Africa, in Mali, as you have seen, the American has not invited Mali, has not invited Burkina Faso, even Sudan has not been invited to attend the African US summit, because they are now allied to other countries like Russia.
Wow. Okay. It is in the interest of building a peaceful world. Title and your responsibility as the peace ambassador. We are seeing that the tone is getting more subtle in terms of countries like Cameroon and the Amazonian or the Biafran conflict, or the Igbos and the Yorubas conflict, the tone of the drum is getting lower and all right, I think he's freezing. And so the message like silencing of the gun by the African Union, which supposedly should have taken place in 2020. And a lot of people are saying when the COVID came to Africa, it was one of the means in which normally it should have silenced the guns. But now we are seeing a progress after 2 years of COVID. And now in 2022, at the end of 2022, most of the tension or the conflicts, though the situations have not changed. I think African presidents in this conflict zones are also opening up for a dialogue and calling for all the insurgencies and the different fractions to sit on the negotiation table. So I mean, everything starts and ends with Africa, isn't it, when it has to do with Africa?
Yes, yes. As I said, the African Union resolution is about solving African issues by African people. That's why, and the slogan of silent guns in 2020 has gone wrong. It has not achieved something, because it was the same Addis Ababa when Abiy Ahmed was talking about silent guns, Obasanjo, in one of the meetings that we attended together. And he was saying, and there's people who are receiving guns in the other side, and we are giving 10,000 flowers for peace. But the same Abiy Ahmed is the same one who led the war against his people in Tigray area. So now there's solution. Now he has accepted, because there was many proposals from different nations. They want to bring the solution, but the only accepting people that who have come with the good resolutions, a good solution to bring peace to Tigray and Ethiopia, was the assignment of His Excellency, the former President of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and Obasanjo, because Obasanjo is a special envoy for Horn of Africa from the African Union too.
Wonderful. Congratulations, I mean, to all this. It has been a very critical and a very challenging year. I mean, amidst all this sort of negotiations and even break between Russia and Ukraine, now we begin to see the game change. Some people are saying, or some opinions are saying, it was a good thing that COVID came, but it's even more a good thing that, you know, when two lions are fighting, or big ones are fighting, they can begin now to appreciate Africa. Is it correct?
The COVID was not a good thing, because the COVID was meant for depopulate Africa. That's it. People should not say the COVID was a good thing. So it was about the depopulation of Africa, and we have had many people talking about it. We have to reduce Africa in 50% of the population, 50% of the world, from 8 billion to 4 billion. So that is a devil-minded that people have. So when now people are rushing to bring business in Africa, we should think about the same group who created the science and all these things, who have been talking about depopulating Africa. Did they cancel the idea of depopulating Africa, to depopulate Africa? They have canceled the idea? No, they haven't canceled the idea, because President Biden mentioned something. They say we have to work together with Africa. We have to bring scientists so that we can prevent the coming pandemic. That is mean there's another one worse than what has come. He mentioned that. If you go through what he said, he mentioned about the coming pandemic. That is mean there's another pandemic coming, and it's going to be worse. So we have to prepare ourselves as an African. We survive, yes. We use our own herbs. We lost some leaders because they stand very strong, like what happened to Makafuli, what happened to Nkurunziza in Burundi, and others. We should talk very freely. So these things has not changed. The agenda has not changed of depopulation, has not changed. So now we have shifted to bring another covering that we want to do business, we want to invest with African and all these and things. Things has to be win-win. We have to know the thing behind. We are so wise now. We are not going to be fooled anymore. Nobody will fool Africa anymore. People has to be brilliant in these things.
Thank you so much for that. Now, when we look at even the investments, what is the United States bringing 55 billion to buy from Africa? Like, what kind of sectors are they looking into? Sciences or what?
They want to improve the health sector in Africa. They want to bring the agriculture. They want to bring a mineral to work on the mineral resources. These resources that they needed for the future, the green energy. These are what they have mentioned. They want to bring to Africa.
Anyway, Africans are saying, do African really need this kind of technology or this kind of development? Because if you look at the whole Africa, it's all nature oriented. Apart from the West always trying to infiltrate and create some kind of a problem and then prescribe a solution to it. We got a comment of one a student who wrote a thesis on that, critically analyzing that Africa would develop according to Africans, and because the natural environment is adaptable and the conditions and everything to the African on the continent. And so no other sort of, whether they call it green food or all this, would survive the species on the continent of Africa. So I think it's very fair to say definitely there's going to be a creation of a pandemic and a solution as a proposal.
Let people take it for the history. There is going to be another pandemic and worse than that. And we have to prepare ourselves. So
wonderful. Africans, you're listening, and yes.
The agenda has not finished yet.
All right.
That was the first. That is the first one. There's first two. There's first three until they reach their agenda. So we have to be careful in these things. And we are talking about those who are well. We are talking about those who are holding trillions of dollars in their hands. And we are talking about only 55 billion US dollars. This is a small amount. It's like $5 in the pocket of others. How can you invest $5 in 3 years? And people have trillions of dollars as families, as business personnel in the whole world. We know them. By name, we know them. And we know they are the one who even investing in this, what is called vaccine, investing in whatever called the science and technology and all and all and all. And they are the one controlling everything. We have not heard anything about them talking. So this collection of small billions and 2-3 billion to be 55 billion or 170 billion from Russia or 60 billion from China to invest is to invest. There's something different. It's not a grant. This is invest. So when they invest 1 billion, they will get 100 billion out of 1 billion. When they invest 100 billion, they will get 4 to 5 trillion out of it. But we have to be wise. This time, our leaders should not take their money to abroad. They should invest, whether you steal this money, whether you have taken this money, you put in the account, please invest them within the country. Put real estate, put the schools, put hospitals. But when you take them to Geneva to put them in the Europe account, Europe banks, and this, they will rot in there. When you move out from that position as a president or as a leader, you will find yourself with the empty hand, because this money will remain there. There will no way you will get the access to go and withdraw this money or to transfer them to another place. So please invest the money within the continent. We know many leaders has kept money outside. They have not got it. Gaddafi put 200 billion. This 200 billion has not come back to Africa, to Libya, to develop Libya anymore. And there's others who have kept billions of dollars there, buying these mansions, houses in Europe and France and UK and everywhere. But at the end, you will not enjoy these things. So our leaders should be wise this time. Let's say they have taken money and they build mansions in the country. That's good. They build schools. That is for the public. That is for everybody there to be treated. So we have to be wise this time.
Correct. We have to be wise. Africans have to be wise. African has to be wise. And when you look at even the position that they are taking now, it's kind of like they're getting it, or particularly the young leadership that is grooming up and coming up prepared to face the world. But fear is still the diaspora. Do you think the diaspora could be sellout?
The diaspora now, I think since 2019, there's people now have been thinking about doing business, even changing business within the America. That is why you see the Black American, they have Black bank. They have Black products. And that's worth of 1 point something trillions a year. They do business among themselves. And the reason why we have to really to accept one another, that's our problem. We have to cooperate as an Africans, as a Black community. We should cooperate together, like Chinese, they do the cooperation in business. The Russian, they do business with Russian. Wherever Chinese goes, they have Chinese town, but we don't have African towns when we go to those places. In 10 years before, there were nothing called African Australian. Now we have African Australian because the numbers, the population is increasing. Now the title now has become African Australian, like African Americans, you see. But there is no cooperation of business between us. We should learn from these things, because that mentality of slavery is still there on the head of people. When you go to Saudi Arabia, when you go to this Gulf, to Kuwait, to go to Bahrain, to Oman, go to Emirates, you go to those places in the Arab world, you will see the Black community. They are there, but they are not progressing. They are not doing well in business. They're still seeing the others who are the superiors for them. So that mentality, we have to take it out. We should bring to Africa the knowledge we have. If you are not able to survive with your business down in America or wherever you are in France, bring your business to Africa and you will survive. So that is why let us give hands to our brothers first, but let our brothers change that mentality that they have in their head. That when they come to Africa, they see themselves like superiors. America is not heaven of God. America is just the same land like us. They are not special. Or Europe, they are not special. They are just human like you. And we say it and we will repeat it. We are the one who taught them. Now they become ahead. Why? We should reverse it. We should come back to be the masters and the teachers of the knowledge of every good things. Science was taught by the Black community. Whatever you see in this world that is happening, it was done by the Black community. And their name is there, written. And the white people know very well that the Black people, they have the knowledge. Let us use the knowledge for the benefit of the continent.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for your time and your lectures are actually awakening and giving hope and teaching the Africans to wake up. You've been doing it. I mean, like I said, you're one of the first, the pioneer, the founders of Pan-African Daily TV, and the biggest voice. And the biggest voice in terms of peace, in terms of negotiation, developmental politics, for African people. I'm sounding the echo. So, Dr. Tony, what is Africa expecting in 2023?
Yeah, 2023, what we are expecting to happen, we want to see a full continent, a peaceful continent where we have a good governance, where we have a technology to give chance to our young people who can invent things, the inventors, to put resources for them. I've seen the young man from Nigeria who has built a car, complete car and moving car in 19 years. These are the people, we should not send them to the West. We should invest. Africa has money. Our problem is greedy. But let us put money to build these young people, because this our future generation that can lead in the future. They are leaders of today and tomorrow. But we have to put resources to find those young people, because now we are talking about the integration of the regions, integration for Africa. Like now, East Africa, now they have one passport. This now has happened. And that is the beginning of integration of these 7 nations. The same thing SADC is doing, the same thing ECOWAS is doing. So let us find our young people and put resources so that they can build their talents and come out with whatever talents they have in inventing cars, inventing things for the medical, inventing things that is belong to that to help the agriculture. They are good in that. So this is the time for African leaders to focus on the young people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Yes, it is the time, because and that's massive everything that is targeted to be depopulated, because when you reduce the power of creation, and so but we say no, and we refuse to be. Even creator, the God of our ancestors, feels it. If the first kill Africans or kill in their numbers, even the 20th, nothing would happen. It is the time of it is the time, and African time is time. Ambassador.
Yes, Susan, the voice was cutting. Yeah, there was cutting voice.
Yes, I'm just the the real time for every nation to develop left out, isn't it? I mean, Europe had their time, France had their time, Europe, America has other countries, and now it's time for Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the time for Africa because there is a fast and growing continent. The population is growing, and we have 60% of young men under 25, and they have a heart to work. They have a knowledge, and most of them now even they are very educated. And this is what we have to see in Africa, that the education to be in every house. This is what we want to see.
To the end of because a lot of interruption, and thank you very much, my excellency, to getting updates as go on. Already, Africa is up to you can do it. If your ancestors did it, thousands of people. So the circle has found. Ambassador, what do you want to give us a last takeaway?
Yeah, just what I want to say, that is just to encourage our leaders. They have to keep the same spirit among themselves, encouraging one another, because when we put our hands together, we will develop Africa, not just developing one country. We don't want to see like my country has done it. Let us work like the way Qatar brought the whole world in Qatar, and make Arab to be proud about what Qatar has done. So let us be proud if there is a good development in Rwanda. Let us
Wonderful.
be proud as an African. Let us be proud if we have seen something new that's been developed in West Africa, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Kenya, or in Rwanda, in Tanzania. Like we have seen what President Her Excellency Saluhi she's doing, because she took the path of the late Makafuli and legacy of Makafuli, and then she's adding into that one. And this is what we have to see, to praise our leaders, not to pull them down, but to praise our leaders, so that to put our hands together and develop the continent. This is what we have, not to develop my region, but let us develop the continent. This is what I just want to tell the leaders. And let us embrace the democracy, the true democracy, not the democracy that is a selling one, but let us embrace the democracy, fair election. Nigeria now is going for fair election. It's going for election. Let us see the fair election in Nigeria, and other countries, they are going for election. Let us see the fair election. Let people choose you, like what we have seen in Kenya. That was a term, that is a real democracy, when that election finished well, even after they took to the Supreme Court, but the winning has been announced, and that is the true democracy. And then there's peace now. There's no war. There's no fight, and we should not encourage tribalism to dominate our head. That is the problem we have. The tribalism is a problem now. So if my tribe has not been a leader, we should go to fight. This is really the wrong mentality and the wrong concept that the people have on their head. And always we see in Africa the same thing, that my tribe should lead. My tribe is a majority. It's not about the majority. We are looking for people who have visions and who have a strategy, who have plan, not for themselves. They plan for the nation. and the cooperation to be together. This is the people that we should support. But when you talk about my tribe, my people, my family, so work for the nation, work for the continent. This is what we want to see. 2023 should be the year of peace. 2023 should be the year of progress. 2023 should be the year of development, to see in these 12 months, to see new things that has been developed in Africa, in each country.
Thank you very much, My Excellency. Thank you for your time. I mean, and I really appreciate you somewhere in the suburbs on the continent trying to get this message across to your people out of Africa and in Africa. We do appreciate you, and we can certainly guarantee you that the message is gone, is across, and the spirit of positiveness that you have brought to the Africans gives a lot of motivation and inspiration. And your advice has been taken seriously into consideration, and you will hear from us as soon as possible. Thank you so very much. Good night. God
Thank
bless
you.
you and your family.
Thank you, Susan.
And
thank you, all the audience. Thank you.
yes, praying
Thank
for
you.
you and the leadership of the continent, and send our regards.
Thank
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
God bless you. God
Thank you,
bless you.
sir. Yes. Thank you too. Thank you out there. I mean, it's really been challenging, but we made it. We made it. And the reflection of the Pan-African Daily TV, I told day one, if Africa was already a developed and a stable country, you would from our streams, isn't it? You would see the technical, no issues, everything would just be perfect. For you could develop and a nation that is already stable. But now we are still on that path of development, and all the challenges that you can see us facing here also, it means lack of proper infrastructures for the kind of technology that we're using today, and the energy source or light is always out or blackout and stuff like that. But does that mean that we're winning? No. The fact that we are consistent and precise and concise and stay on the mission all after dark, all our hands and our minds and our spirit connected in better Africa, because we do know a better. I think if Europeans or the Asians should also be happy that Africans to make Africa a place. Why it as if it isn't it a wake up? Isn't it a solution that will better up the whole world? Today, if the Chinese are proud of their culture, of their language, now that's even main reason why the other countries will respect it and they will come to a negotiation of a win. We can take us as Africa, mother creation of humanity. Why not the continent that birthed and gave civilization its place? Why not the people African to save the world again? Because we do, when history is brought on the table, there's a better place more than what we had in the pre-colonial times, until the colonies came. Then we started having these pieces and this breakup. It's necessary and but normal. Not go to help Africa or to invest in Africa because a piece of their mineral would be justified as it is for the nation. It is one to empower Africa, and so that we could live in a fair and a better world. Complaining about migrant Africa coming to take their jobs or whatever. So why isn't it just simple that yes, leave the Africans to develop and themselves, so you wouldn't have any problem. You wouldn't have the migrants crossing to come to your doorsteps. Isn't that wise? And in this case, if that's not the situation, so what is it that so I want to on this conversation tonight? It was very, very important, and the essence of it into the on the African Daily TV. One thing you need to take away with is the spirit of negativism. That is one of the biggest terrors in our DNA, eating us bit by bit, spirit of negativism. And I don't know where this spirit came from. Back into my DNA, into the pre-colonial history, was not the same. We have issues, but not like this one that we have. What does that mean? We have to pray and watch out, and the leadership and those that are making it work for Africa. Most often we are so negative. And that's why I see countries like China would put cameras every bad about the economy. And if you're the citizens as well, what is it that you talk to your neighbors? You even talk about the Africa you want to see. What is the spirit that awaken you? Spirit of always African cannot do it, you're able. Is it the spirit of just saying we are royals, we are kings and queens? People rot and die of hunger and poverty. We know that we've made some mistakes in the past. Another. It is time now for us to let go, come together, unite, and perfect economy for ourselves. Question, a comment saying, I mean, could Dr. Tony Jaja explain 26 of the African? Isn't it better approach the 2030 and where this problem is coming from? Am I still going to be alive? If you go back and we look at and we look at all that, if they had to wait to say no, we would not start the job today. Nothing would be done. Play your part and start playing it today. And the Africa we want, it's like, oh, because of 2063, you work today because you're waiting for 2063. How do you get without to bring the changes without starting to contribute? In TV and a high profile professionals, mental activists, Pan-Africanist visions brought to the table. Tomorrow we are trying to lay hands on a like I said, 2023 is not going to be the year for granted. We have to be up to the task. Time, mindset of abundance is already on. Thank you. It was a short, very serious business, and tomorrow we look forward. Yes, of about nothing less, nothing more. Africa does weekly. That is the slogan, and we're proving it with every breath that we take. That Africa is late. They come to you. The power is for a negotiation, post a gig or a deal. That's where power is. And you still don't know your power, and you still don't trust. Never hear such words as leadership pets anymore. If you would say that from time immemorial, from three, then you need a schooling of what Africa is. So thank you so very much. You go drink your water and mind your African business. And we get it. Tomorrow is another day where we things to your family and your loved ones, and we stay on the same agenda, unapologetically, now and forever. We are winning.
You are watching
Good
the
night.
Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Wonderful, wonderful. Our jingle, our everything without tonight. Pizza.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness,